Hi there, guys. Welcome back to the eye test. This is part two, the second segment, where we're talking about the second half. Hope you guys watched the first half of the show. We're back, and we're going to show how Ten Hag fixed things. Welcome back to the eye test. It's Omundi Juma, and I'm joined by Bath Time again. Hope you guys tuned into the first segment of the show where we discussed the first half. What did you think about the first half overall, Bath Time?
Yes, good afternoon, Monday. I was devastated with the first half. I know we had lots of possession. I know we scored 2 goals, but in the previous show we've done, which you should be able to find listed somewhere on the channel, we saw why we're getting beaten 4-0 at half time by other teams. Too open in the midfield. Casemiro he basically just had a big adventure in the first half, like Bilbo Baggins legging it off terrible. But what I am pleased about, and I think, I believe, do we have a comment from Emma Kay that we had in the previous show?
Yeah, it's something I wanted to refer to because there's some really great comments from the last show. Obviously, you can't comment on this show, but make sure you comment after the show, and we will respond to you guys. Maybe leave a timestamp as well, so we know what you're referring to. So yeah, we will be back, guys. Just comment at the end of the show. Both of us will take that responsibility to answer the questions as much as we can. Because, like we say, we're not coaches or anything. We're just giving the eye test as we see. So yeah, Emma Kay, she made a beautiful comment at the end of last show. Big up to Emma. She said, you can change a game from half to half. This is a wonderful thing you can do with good management. But instead of changing the game, changing the style or whatever from game to game. So basically she's saying this is a game of two halves. Our manager was able to turn it around. Any errors that we highlighted in the first half, she's sort of highlighting, and the manager would take them in the half time, get things sorted, get some changes made to make us more secure and to fix the problems. So Emma, I really appreciate that comment, and we're going to highlight how the changes were made in the second half here.
Yeah, perfect. That's why you have a half time. You get your Lucozade, you get your oranges, and you get told to get back into structure, get back in formation. But what I would like to start with, Monday, and we haven't had this discussion before, but in our preparation for this show, Monday told me, and I can't believe that this is true, that he was completely relaxed for the last 10-15 minutes of the game when Everton loaded the ballistas and, in my view, put us under siege with ball after ball into the box. It was squeaky bath time, to be honest, for me. So, Amanda, what are you talking about? How could you possibly have felt okay in the last 10 minutes with 5'9" centre-backs there?
Look, I do recall I was sitting next to Mr. B in the watch-along. And by the way, you can watch our live watch-along or a little clip of it on BT Sports on Wednesday the 12th at 10:15 after the Champions League games. We'll be featured on the show called The Football's On. And you'll see me, myself, Mr. B and Pat Lawless sitting in my living room covering the game. And Mr. B was getting kind of nervous, like you were saying, Bath Time, at the end of the game, when Everton were lumping balls in, swinging them in from like almost the halfway line, and played two up front, two big boys. And yeah, there was a lot of nerves in the room, but I felt really comfortable. I kept saying to the guys, there's nothing to worry about here, because when you've got these long flighted balls, as a centre-back, you're reading it, and you can attack the ball like that. You always got the advantage over defenders and attackers and things. So I had no fear. I thought, is that the best they got? Everton are really poor if they have to resort to that. They waited 88 minutes or 80 minutes. They couldn't break us down, couldn't really open us up in playing football. So now they're going back to crashing the ball. And this is something we can eat for breakfast. You should eat for breakfast. But saying that, Bath Time, I understand why you're a bit anxious, because there was a couple of times where Nana or some of these big guys did get a touch. But we have to deal with it. In my opinion, I'm a defender. I'm 6'5". That's like easy, like eating breakfast to me when balls are flying in like that. I shouldn't lose. That's my house. I'm clearing everything, and I expect all my defence to do the same. So I wasn't that nervous or worried about seeing Everton resort to that.
But Monday, right? You're 6'5". You play in the Sunday leagues, and I bet you it looks like Godzilla smashing about when the ball gets played in high. You just told me that the defenders have an advantage over the
Yeah,
attacker. When you got Solomon Ramdi, or whatever he's called, Calvin Phillip,
Rondon.
whatever, Anana, very impressed with him. And you've
Yeah,
got Lindelof, considered weak in the air. You've got Martinez, who's small. You've got Delot, who we've seen be beaten a few times. And we've got Varane, who's never really looked to be a commanding aerial centre-back. What do you mean by saying that the defenders have the advantage over the attacker? Could
yeah.
help me? I don't understand.
Right. So we doing the eye test with you. I mean, we've done many shows now, and we've seen how we conceded kind of goals. And I think like when we played against Man City, Phil Foden getting in front of the Malacia, for example, that wasn't a high ball. That was a ball played across sort of cut back, and he got in front of the man. That's difficult. But what's not difficult is these flighted long balls that come down with snow on them. You've got time to position yourself, time to read it, time to sort of attack the ball. And it's hard. It's easier playing that way than it is for a striker to get that ball and knock it on or do something with it. So I think the defence has got more time to organise while the ball's in the air, being crashed up like that. And no matter how big you are, I mean, hopefully as you get older and you lose your legs, maybe you'll go back to defence, and maybe you'll have to read balls like that. But I do think defenders would always have the advantage in that situation, and that's why I don't agree with this crash ball football. If you can play through teams, that's what you should try to do. But crashing the ball like that, you're just playing it into the hands of defenders. So you've got time to position yourself, time to sort of attack the ball, and you've got time to sort of observe where the dangers lie are coming from, especially when they're, like I say, when they're crashed from high and they're flighted balls like that. It's very easy, in my opinion. So I didn't have no concern about that.
So just to sort of like clarify this for me, what you're talking about, I think, is the quality of the chance rather than the quantity. Where if the ball is delivered sort of in the middle third, you can't get sort of like a proper whip on it. If it's delivered out wide from the middle third, you see it all the way. And all you really have to do is get your head on it or get someone knocked off position. And that's why the only sort of real squeaky bum times in that last 10 minutes were where balls were played in from our left wing. And De Gea did a good save. Martinez, Varane and Shaw all had to really work to win the ball. But it's so what you're saying, I think, is that we were allowing them to do this because we're a Premiership team looking for Champions League. We should be able to deal with League Two football.
Like you used to say, I've taken a quote from you. You said to earn the right to play. And you also said early in the season when we lost the first two games, I'm taking a lot of your quotes, by the way, and using them for my team. But you also said that, that you have to win the physical battle initially, which we didn't do against Brentford. We didn't do against Brighton. As you know, they targeted certain areas of our defence, and really that was part of the game plan. But once you get beyond that, we can beat these teams. And I think we're at the stage now where with Martinez, and no matter how you mentioned his height earlier, I don't think it matters about that. It just means about physicality and winning those battles to know anything that comes in. Like, if my house, clear the ball, you scream your name, and people know, oh, Sugar, he's coming for this now. When I play, Zach's ball, loud and clear. So even if I'm not going to win the ball, they're apprehensive that I'm going to come through them, which I will do early in the game, so they know I'm here. And flatten them. But it's that kind of thing. If you've got, when you're playing with these dominant centre backs, there's a lot of centre backs or players that play long into their 40s and 50s, like myself, who read the game really well and all mouth really, and they ain't really doing much, but just shouting and screaming and organising, and it's quite intimidating at times. So I do believe that if you've got a bad back and you know someone's going to come into the back of you as a striker, you're going to have problems and you're going to be wary of that. So the advantage always to the defender in that situation. And like you said, especially with flighted balls and crash balls like that, it's easy. It's very easy to yam up and eat up. So I think there's no chance that Man United should have been under pressure. Ten Hag should have been sitting there relaxed like everyone else should have been and saying, okay, if that's how they have to do it now, then we've got this game, and blow the final whistle and take the 3 points.
That's really good to hear, because like as you've sort of spoken about that, I've been thinking that in terms of the physical battles, like when Ragnick was basically slandering this football club, a lot of what he was talking about was physicality, and
That's true.
it's really interesting to see that like under sort of physical assault, we held up really well. And that teams will be, in the same way we talked about in the first half, but our teams will be looking at Casemiro thinking, yum, that guy's gettable. They should be looking at Martinez and Lindelof now and thinking, do you know what? They're not that, we can't dominate them like we did last year. And it's
So
about
true.
structure. And it's almost like, because the Premier League will be surveying us like every single match and talking about surveys. Do we have any surveys that we need to be carried out, and who would we want to do a survey? What types can we get?
Oh, I love it, Bartha. You are getting good at this. Yes, it's GMS Global Mapping Surveys. We're now sponsored by them. It's through Adam. You should go and check out his company. They're on the internet. But Global Mapping Surveys can currently assist architects, property developers, and construction companies all over the country. They offer a wide range of services, such as setting out topographical surveys. You like that, don't you? 3D laser scanning and monitoring. The link is in the description for the website and contact details. So, Man United Agenda do have a sponsor, and it's GMS Global Mapping Surveys.
Huge shout out to GMS.
That's brilliant.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. I hope that Adam and all the lads at GMS FC like that.
You get the assist for that. Yeah.
I'm not a goal scorer. I'm a sister, but that's great.
Your colours up like Cantona, so yes.
Yeah. But good stuff. But we're really pleased at the agenda that like people sort of believe in us and things, and huge fans of GMS. And I hope that all of you enjoy the fun that we have with 3D topographical surveys. But we need to have some more fun. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to address Emma's comment about how the second half changed, and we're gonna have some fun now. So if you wouldn't mind telling me when we're live.
Yeah, you're on. We're ready to go.
Okay,
so this is second half.
This is like a movable thing of the second half, and what we saw in the second half primarily was Casemiro and Eriksen playing like I always say like that. I want my midfielder next to me to be my wife. And we've got to be together, holding hands, on the same page, showing no conflict to the opposite to the enemy team. And this is what we saw in the second half. Is we saw an actual rest defence. It's still the 3 versus 2. That means that we're going to see a lot of balls played out into wide areas, and that's how we're going to break Everton apart. We're going to try and pull these guys out of position, and we're going to have a nice block in the middle. And we know with Ronaldo we're not going to get a huge amount of pressing, because we saw very little counter pressing and very little actual pressing, but structure beats everything. So here we're going to be defending an attack, I believe. And if you could talk us through this, Omundi.
Hold on. Just to clarify, if you did watch the first episode segment, there was an issue in the first half where there was too much gaps between. There wasn't a block, the traditional block that we've had recently in games. And Casemiro was getting ahead of the play a lot of the time and leaving us sort of a bit isolated. And a better team would have really sort of taken advantage of that in counter-pressing situations. And we could have been more than 1 or 2 goals down. But so obviously, going back to Emma's comment, we were lucky. We were fortunate. We've got a good manager who came in at half-time and made a few adjustments. So, let's go ahead.
So the big difference is that Casemiro, for some reason, was playing in between the lines in the first half. These are the lines here. Casemiro was looking for space in these areas, and because his touch was a bit off and he was a bit erratic with his passing, and Eriksen and Shaw weren't combining well enough to fill in these spaces here, we genuinely could have conceded 4 or 5 goals. And like that's not hyperbolic. We've seen that happen twice this season, being 4-0 down at half time. But we made a change, and I'd just like you to talk us through this clip, if you wouldn't mind, Omundi. So I'll start it up.
Pickford's played the ball out, a long kick all the way to halfway line, left back. Gay's got it here, played it back to the left back, inside to Gray, who plays a nice third run ball. And Luke Shaw seems to have got the ball intercepted at the back post. Wobie's got it, plays it inside again. We've cleared the ball, and it's come to Ronaldo, plays a 1-2 to Bruno now, and Rashford makes the run. Bruno tries to play him in, he's in. Rashford's running down the line. He's got a back post there with Ronaldo, and Coleman clears that out. So it's gone some sort of end-to-end from an attack from Everton. Suddenly we've kind of counter-pressed them, and this is Shaw here. That was a really good challenge.
Yeah, I don't really see where, like, the counter-press comes sort of from Ronaldo. I'm not sure I would class that as a counter press, but it's good defensive work. And we can see break. We'll talk about Bruno's decision here, but this is proper football. And I want to. So when we start off here, this isn't great. This gap here, but this is the ball side. Okay, so this side of the pitch is the ball side, and it's where you want most of your men. So what you would expect to see is football is fluid. You'd expect to see movements from these players to come across, and then sort of more pressing movements, more pressure, basically, on these players here. So this doesn't look great at the start, but as we play it, within seconds, look at this. Yeah. They're married again. Romance has started. Yeah, well done, Ericsson. He's fit. He's got in the space. We're in, like, this is extremely difficult to break down. The space is here, and maybe a long ball, but you've got to remember De Gea's on it today, and he might be out there.
Yeah.
So this is all really good, and we stop it again. Excellent position, excellent here. The only thing you would be slightly concerned about, or you'd like to see a bit more, is of Rashford filling this space here.
For sure.
That's the only thing that you would want. But what we do have is we have a block of 3 in between the lines. So this is actually a rest attack. So this is aggressive from Man United, because with 3 men around the ball here, if we pinch that ball, you'll see Ronaldo make the out movement. You'll see Rashford make the movement, and then you'll see Bruno maybe coming here or maybe going out here, and Rashford can go there. But this is a rest attack. So this is all structure. We're really, really good. It's risk reward whether you want Rashford here or not. Because we're leading, I want Rashford here. But if people in the comments, like, shout out to Animal, shout out like to Gavin, who want more sort of like attacking play,
Big G.
I'm not calling him Big G. The Big G to me is always Paddy, and Paddy wants sparkling, swashbuckling football. So so if he wants Rashford there and they want Rashford there, I don't have an issue with that. But what we get done by here is a third man run, as you pointed out.
We covered this last week, didn't we?
We did cover it last week, and this is the level of football you have to play to beat a block, right?
Yes.
So this is basically the block here, and you've got to do something special to get past it. So we're making Everton work here, and they do work, okay? They get through. Now, the space is here to attack, but what is fantastic is, you mentioned this earlier, is that Malacia and Foden were in a similar position here against City, and Foden scored. Shaw, who I like as a player, I know I make fun about him being the custard man, but he wins. He does enough here to stop the goal, and you can see that we've got Ericsson coming in to make the back 3, Casemiro in the half space, and this is what we've seen from all our best performances. We've seen that the ball side pivot goes to the half space to block a cross, and the other pivot comes in to make a back three, and essentially we've got a 4-on-2 here. So
Yeah.
looks dangerous, but you won't score a lot from this. So Shaw gets it out. Gordon and Iwobi do some play, and here I've actually slightly exaggerated this by not moving them beforehand, but you will see Anthony and Rashford are animated as moving in here. This is to show that this is to really highlight the difference between City, where Anthony and Sancho didn't work hard enough and didn't help their team out.
Yeah,
Here,
I remember.
here, do you see them both going in? Delot clearing the ball, Ronaldo busting himself, which I'm delighted to see, to get ahead of Gay, and then we're on. Now, what I would normally expect from Rashford in this situation is a stupid ball out here, and for Anthony to run onto it. If this was Bruno, I would expect, God, I don't know what I'd expect. I'd expect something stupid. But here, Rashford just plays the ball into Bruno, and Bruno's going to be slow, right? And this is important. This is something that I talk about a lot from my days in Latin America. Well, where you're slow on the ball, with a little bit of pausa, a little bit of a pause, what happens is that people get attracted to you.
Yes.
And what that means is that you begin to get overloads. You've got to it's experience, it's technique, but you begin to get overloads forming. And Bruno here, you think he's going to hit that ball, but Bruno's developed pausa, and he holds it. He holds it a little bit too long because there's a pass there. But remember, we're trying to play football where we have plenty of options. So Rashford really helps him out, comes back, and now here, this is so good. You know Cody is going to be coming out to Rashford. You know Tarkowski is going to come out. What Eriksen knows he's got to do is he's got to get into this space. Because Omundi, the greatest goal scorer in living memory, is going to try and get in here completely unopposed. And Gay, Iwobi, and Gordon have not worked. They haven't worked hard enough here.
Wow.
They've let their team out to dry. And so as it goes, you can see that Cody's done really well actually and protected the centre, and Tarkowski has come out to help. You've got Casemiro holding his position.
Well
so
done.
If this gets cleared, we've got the 4, and then we've got Anthony and Bruno joining to make the 5. So this is structure. And this is a counter-attack. And then Rashford, unfortunately, he doesn't quite get the ball right. You have to give credit to Cody and Coleman here. They've shown all their experience and they've defended it really well. But instantly, we can see why being in a structure makes a big difference, because Eriksen knows at the start of the clip, Eriksen knows he's got to get here. Shaw knows he's got to get in around here. These 3 know that they're on for a good attacking position. Everyone's going to stay disciplined. Within seconds, we're in a lovely block that we haven't seen before in the game. So is there anything?
What's outstanding? What's outstanding is like in just like a few seconds, maybe this is 40 seconds of play, maybe there's so much to see. And as you just highlighted there's so much going on. And this is the contrast, like we started with Emma's point. There's been a change. We didn't really see this in the first half. We talked about Casemiro's defensive positions. You mentioned Rashford there as well. His decision making, what he's sort of known to do. He's sort of changing up his game, making it a lot more simple, and which in turn makes him a lot more effective as well. But there's so much. Sometimes we can watch a game and just pass us by. But that little phase of play there with Everton attacking, our structure being really secure, and then we're able to break off the structure and still be secure. This is what we really want, I suppose.
Like, this is fantastic. The only issue that I would have in this particular instance here is that this is a worry. Onana on Anthony.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we call a qualitative overload, which I've spoken about earlier today. So check back on the video. But what's great here is you can see that Casemiro is making a triangle around Malpe, and you can see that Eriksen is protecting the half space. So earlier we talked about the ball side pivot coming out to the half space, which is where Eriksen is. So we've got a 3-on-2 here, and we've got Rashford just waiting for any pullback to Coleman. But and as I say, we've got 3 men here, so we should be fine. This is the only problem, is Onana coming in, but there's enough men here to defend this. Like, if they get the ball in and Onana scores, like, you have to, when you talk about sort of risk and reward, this is the least risky thing here. These are the most risky things here, because if the ball gets played back to Coleman, Rashford's going to try and close it down, and you're going to see Casemiro getting on Onana with Delot and Lindelof helping him out, Martinez, Shaw, Eriksen all coming across. So this is why structure is so bloody important. So I'm happy. I'm really excited seeing this. Shout out to Bruno for playing like a footballer, and shout out to Eriksen for scanning to see Ronaldo and knowing that he's got to get in between these two here. Like, it's such
a good run from Eriksen, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It's the intelligence,
really responsible,
that he brings. Also, and to be honest, if Donny van der Beek did stuff like this, he'd play, but he doesn't. So what I want to show you next, Omundi, is another example of what happens when people like Casemiro stop thinking that they're like, number 10s and start playing in between the lines. But before we do that, just to because I'm interested in the comments, even though they're not here, and I'm interested in your opinion. We spoke earlier about a Man City player called Yaya Toure, who used to defend. He used to defend. He used to be a defensive midfielder for Barcelona before he became a rampaging 8-10 for Man City. Do you think Casemiro might want to sort of not be a defensive midfielder?
Look, there's a lot of question marks about Casemiro at the moment, and I do, that comparison is really sort of on point, because Yaya Toure, when he was playing for a great team like Barcelona, he played in the centre back against us in the Champions League final, if you remember, in Rome. So he's come to Man City, new project, as a big time player, and it's sort of maybe undermining them by saying, I'm not a centre back, guys. I want to play further up the pitch. And granted, he was fantastic, scored like almost 20 goals, I think, one season, and was an amazing player, But when playing for Barcelona, he had to sit back and play a more sort of defensive or centre-back role. Maybe Casemiro's come to Man United after he feels he can get his wings out again and say, look, I can do a lot more here. I'm more experienced. I've got 5 Champions League medals. Pass the ball to me. I'm going to make runs. I'm going to make runs into the box and sacrifice the guys and try and get onto the end of things. I'm going to stand in between the line, and think it's still a question mark. I think it could be a case that he's undermining the players at Manchester United by trying to do a bit more of his job. Don't know your role and do your role, which you were bought for and which you're known for, which is being a sort of holding player and keeping that shape.
I agree. I personally believe that Casemiro is a winner, and he has that mentality where he wants to go and sort things out by himself. And I think he got a dressing down at half time, to be honest, because as we're going to see now, this is what happens when a pivot plays as a pivot and has quality. So if you can just talk us through this clip, Omundi, it'll start with Shaw, and you can see that McNeil has come on for Anthony Gordon after Anthony Gordon's appalling work rate let in what's it called, Ronaldo. So work rate matters for everyone. But here we go.
So Shaw plays it back to Martinez, plays a lovely left foot pass back into Casemiro, Eriksen and Casemiro. They played a 2 It's very quick there. Lovely football. Bruno's got it at the edge of the box. Tries to play with the outside of his foot, a ball into Ronaldo. It went very quickly. So Martinez into Ericsson, one touch football back to, that's a third man run, is it almost? Back to Bruno and Rashford. And Bruno, plays the ball to the back post looking for Ronaldo. This is really good football, actually.
This is absolutely sensational. So
go ahead.
When we start off, there's a slight concern to me about the positioning, but it's not too bad. We've got a triangle here, right, with Casemiro at the front of it. That means we should be able to release pressure. So if Shaw goes backwards, we should be fine. We've got something out here called double width, which isn't going to come into play, but essentially what it means is that we've got an overload forming on this side. Ericsson central, Bruno central. I would like another player here, to be honest, just to protect the centre. But football is fluid, and you can see that as the ball gets back to Martinez, Casemiro shows that he actually knows this position, and he gets into the centre, and we've got a 4. That's now our triangle. We've got a 4. We've got player wide, player central. You'd assume Rashford's going here. You'd assume Bruno's going in there, and that means that one of Shaw or Delo can now get forward. So this is good. This is really good positional play. Sure. And look, Ericsson, the ball gets played into, and Iwobi comes out here. Now, Casemiro is in an absolutely fine position because Ericsson can pop that off, and he can also pop it off to Lindelof. So what we're doing is we're just pulling this line of midfielders in, and you can see that we've got 3 players in between the lines, and Ronaldo occupying central. So we're just beginning to pull them, and then this is essentially a static third man run. Where we've used this triangle to get it to Casemiro. Casemiro is just going to pop it off. Beautiful play. Absolutely beautiful play.
So where's Iwobi now? Wow. Gone missing.
So like just check out Iwobi. He does the right thing and he follows his run in. But what you would want is you'd want a Nana or Gray coming in. But when that happens, if Casemiro pops it off to Lindelof, as we talked about earlier about Lindelof's progressive passing, we've got spaces. So this is why it's so important to have structure. And when you put good players in a structure, like everyone knows I love McTominay, and I also have a soft spot for Fred, but there's no way Fred and McTominay are doing this combination.
Nah, you wouldn't see it.
You wouldn't see that even if there was no one on the pitch from them. And here, right? So this is a third man run. I want to show you the third man move beforehand. So Casemiro is going to be the third man here. This is going to be Casemiro. This is going to be the first man, second man, third man. So first man Martinez, second. There we go. Okay, play through. So now we've got Ericsson moving forward, receiving the ball in space with lots to look at. And after a third man run, what you typically see is you see the direction. Yeah, you see a switch or the direction of the attack changed. So Anana, Gay, and Gray, what a word salad that is, are all coming here. Iwobi's just whatever. And then it gets to Bruno. Bruno plays it out to Rashford. Rashford has pausa. Rashford's just all he's looking to do is to pull a couple of these players in. And we had Cody and Tarkowski marking Ronaldo. We've now got Mikhailenko or whatever, and Tarkowski, and we've got big spaces between them. We've got a big space here. So you'd expect Eriksen to be moving into that, or Casemiro, but just one of them.
Yeah.
Right? Just one of them.
Well done, Rashford, by the way.
Yeah. And you see, neither of them actually move into the space, but you can see that we're in a good structure here to prepare for a counter press. So if the counter press happens here, we've got these players ready to go in. So that is 6 players versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generously. So we're in a really good structure for the counter press. We've got and we've got sort of man marking here. Like Iwobi's slight issue, but Martinez should be able to sort that out. And Lindelof and Maupay is not a qualitative overload. So we're all right. But when we lose it, we're in a much better position.
For sure.
We've got Casemiro and Eriksen blocking anything out here. So they have to go wide. And that means that we've got the time to recover. So once again,
a small passage of play, but so much good stuff going on here compared to the second half. So Emma, this is all about you, Emma. It is rather than change it in the next game, we managed to change it at half time, which is magnificent by the manager. And half time suggesting that he's ripped into them, but whatever's happened, definitely been a change here. Casemiro has shown that as defensive.
He's playing in the right place. He's not playing in between the lines, and that's the key thing. Is that when you don't play in between the lines, their line has to get closer to you, which allows space for other players to go through. This is unselfish play, and I'm really, really pleased with it. Okay.
She's go, when Rashford gets the ball there, I would half expect Rashford. He's got a one-on-one almost. To the old Rashford would probably drive at him and run into traffic, but he's making a lot of really good decisions here. Just to draw man in and then just pop it off. That's not the Rashford I know.
Yeah, if you want to talk about Rashford, any long-time viewers of the United agenda know that I've always poo-pooed Rashford. I don't like him as a player. He doesn't work hard enough. He makes poor decisions. Rashford this season is getting perilously close to McTominay Club for me. The McTominay Club is for disciplined players that play for the team and work hard. And Rashford, since Ten Hag has come in, has been a completely different player. He is the player, Omundi, that I thought Sancho might be. Works hard, links play well, and uses the ball and his runs intelligently. And here...
I totally agree with you, totally. That's Sancho's game. He's playing Sancho's game right now with his added pace and getting behind as well. He's a dangerous proposition.
And I've just circled Bruno here because this is a half space area Bruno is getting the ball in, and this is Ronaldo with a run on Mikhailichenko and Tarkowski instead of Tarkowski and Cody, who are better in the air. And what I would normally expect to see from Rashford is Rashford facing Coleman up and running into a cul-de-sac here or passing it to Shaw and probably hitting it to McNeil. And I know a lot of people, shout out to Rich Sports. I was on a panel on Monday with some people on Rich Sports the other day, and they all talked about how they wanted wingers to be direct and dribbling. I'm afraid to say dribbling is out of the game, right? Like you might
let the ball do the work.
Exactly. And this is much better than dribbling because what you have here is a player in the half space, a player attacking, like a player blindside running. I mean, Tarkowski knows where he is, but Tarkowski, like, to be honest, he against Ronaldo, he wants to be there and he wants Cody there. But because Rashford's dropped it in the half space, players from wide have to come out to deal with Bruno. From centre and wide have to come out, and then you've got the option of Rashford running in and hitting a cutback. But Bruno, being Bruno, tries to play a Trivella, Trivella, mate, a Trivella, which is where you hit the ball with the outside of your foot and curl it in there. And I mean,
Ricardo Quaresma.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this is just Bruno being
Paul Merson.
Bruno.
Paul
But
Merson.
what?
But yeah, can I just say, just to add, because we've had many discussions, and
Yeah.
I always felt like the best place to cross the ball was by the 6 yard box, just like Man City do, just a little cutback getting in those areas. But you've convinced me now about this crossing from the half space, how effective that is.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah.
So my block's been updated, but if I just quickly, how are we doing for time, by the way? How long have we been running for?
We're 40 minutes in.
Okay, good. So we'll probably go for about another 10 minutes or so. But like when we talk about like half spaces and crossing and things like
Yeah.
that, what a lot of people want is they want their fullback in this area here, like crossing in, and you want a near post run and a back post run, and then attacking midfielders around. This is this isn't how football is played anymore, right? You will still get this and things, but even if you look at Robertson at Liverpool, I bet a lot of people will say Robertson gets to the byline. Robertson rarely crosses from the byline. Robertson crosses in the half space, and the reason you cross in the half space is it pulls people out because it's a half space. Someone has to come from wide or someone has to come from central. So you want your most creative players here because then, rather like Man City, you'll then see a ball put into this area here for the cutback because you've sucked players out. So I don't from here, I don't really call this a cross. I call this a cutback. So it might be semantic, but like David Beckham, everyone loves Beckham. Most of Beckham's great crosses were from the half space.
So true. So true.
Pulling people out. So what we want to be doing is we want Bruno in half spaces, crossing the ball, or let's say Casemiro's good technically. We're still not sure, but his range of passing's nice. We maybe want Casemiro in the half space, crossing it over, and we definitely want Eriksen there. So do you remember Monday the Twitter training footage that showed Bruno in the half space crossing?
Yeah, and I remember this is pre-season, isn't it? When they were doing that drill over and over again, and Rashford scored a lovely header, a bullet header from that same position, similar to how De Bruyne scored that sort of ball after a passage of play, starting with Fred in midfield and from deep, and then building it up, and then getting a ball in the half space and crossing it sort of wide over to the far post-ish. Yeah, that drill seems to be coming true now.
Yeah,
Or we
and
get in a position.
Yeah, it's where you see Trent, it's where you see Kevin De Bruyne. Like, I'm not sure who's good at Chelsea anymore. But like, it's where you want your best players on the ball. And now this last clip, Omundi.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to applaud that. I do think I didn't really get it before with the drill. Didn't understand what they were really doing with that. But as a defender, it's a nightmare when you're sort of trying to face something and you're seeing the ball being crossed from that area. But I understand now. It does actually. It's very effective.
Yeah, like tell the lads, shout out to everyone at Woodlands, shout out to Solo's friend in Harrow, all the coaches watching, please be kind to us. But yeah, it's essentially the half space pulls players in from central and wide, and it allows you to do more. But this last clip that we're going to go through, I think, is the best expression of what Ten Hag wants from Manchester United.
Okay.
Right? Okay. And so I want you to talk us through this, and then we'll break it down, and then we'll let you enjoy the rest of your day. So here we go, Omundi.
Second, Onana's got the ball wide. He squared up. He played a long ball to the back post. Iwobi. There's a break here. It's Rashford holding up the play, holding it up, and Ronaldo pops into Ronaldo, gets a return. They're playing to keep ball there. And now Bruno's created the space, plays it back to Eriksen. He's got his head up, he drives, waits for the engagement. Rashford comes in. Oh, look at it. Look, I've had to start. This is too much. Oh, my God. It is beautiful. Wow. And there's a ball from the half space, as we were just talking about, which ended up with that. So we started from deep in our own half. Rashford's got the ball here. This is the new Rashford. Holding it up. What do you call it? Pause? What do you call it?
Pausa.
Pausa. Pops it, playing 1-2s with Ronaldo. Eriksen. Bruno's come wide to get some space. Eriksen's got the ball here, waiting for the engagement. Rashford comes deep again, pops it off short to Eriksen. Rashford wide, a lovely ball into Bruno. Switch of play there by all the way to Anthony, who's waiting for that. And Casemiro in the half space. And there's 3 men on Cody and the fullback, which is what you really want on the back post. That's lovely, man.
There's a lot to go through here, but it's super sexy.
Let's go.
So let's talk about our positioning on defence, first of all. Against Manchester City, Foden's first goal, we saw Anthony over here. We saw Scott McTominay in Deleu's position and Deleu in Bruno's position. Anthony has learnt. Right? So Anthony is coming back to deal with Onana whilst marking Gray. And Bruno is in the half space area to clog it up. Ronaldo, I would like Ronaldo more central. I don't know what he's doing over here, but fine. Like, that's absolutely fine. And then you've got a very tight back three here. And on this overload here, we've overloaded them because look at Marcus Rashford coming back to help out. Something I never thought I would see. So this is all pretty good. You have to be excellent to do this. So Onana drives, and you can see that we've got a nice sort of diamond formed here. So it's actually very difficult for them to do anything.
Yeah.
So Onana, he basically plays in. He plays in a ball on his bad foot to the back post, and there's a scramble that I'm going to be honest, I couldn't be bothered to animate correctly, but there's a big scramble and it gets knocked out, and Ronaldo wins the ball. So he was in the right position. I know nothing, but I still want to point out how good we are here. Like, we've got a man in the half space, we've got men in the half space, and we've got a 3 versus 2. No overloads on either side. True. And as these players, technically they're in between the lines, if those are the lines. What I would expect to see here is I'd expect Bruno to be making that run there, Anthony to be coming in like that, and Rashford to be coming in like that. That's what most football teams would do. Rashford gets the ball. Now this is like Ronaldo. Here, you'd expect him to make that run. To, easy pass for Rashford. You'd expect Bruno to be coming in, and you'd expect Anthony to be sort of creeping in on the blind side, and you'd expect your defence to push up. But Rashford, he beats his man, and he does a chop, right? It's really good, and it's safe. And then Rashford just delays. And I love it, because there's nothing on except losing the ball here. Like, you don't really want to play the ball into that area here because Cody, Tchaikovsky, Onana versus Bruno, like, and then you've got all these men running through here. Like, there's not a lot on. So Rashford just pauses and he holds the ball up, and this is fine. We're winning. We don't need to do anything. Pops it to Ronaldo. Ronaldo gives it back. Pops it to Ronaldo again. Look at that. That's working in tight spaces.
That's a third man run, is it almost? Rashford?
Not really. Not really. Because, if you say it gets Eriksen receiving the ball, looking forwards, that's fine. But he's not in space, and he hasn't moved on to Molpe's blind side. But that little combination has allowed Bruno to pull out here. Yeah. And this is what you get from a player like Eriksen. Yeah. We pull off. We're also still really, really well protected in the key areas, right? True. We've got Eriksen and Casemiro kind of holding hands, but this is all fine. Gordon Awobi,
first half, isn't it?
Much better
in that respect, yeah.
And then this is what I like. One of the many reasons I didn't like Ralph Ragnick is because he said that you shouldn't pass the ball sideways or backwards. Just wise up, man. Like this here.
He actually said, when you win the ball, like we did there with Rashford, it should be 2-3 passes and we should have a shot on goal. But that, like you said, there was nothing on.
Yeah, it's nonsense. But here, we get the ball back to Ericsson. Casemiro, they're married. So they're next to each other. Like, this is a triangle. You've got a player out wide here. Absolutely, we're not going to lose the ball here. But what we're beginning to do is we're beginning to occupy key areas. So, actually, let me draw some lines properly. This is wide. This is a half space. This is central. And this here is wide. And we're beginning to... What Ten Hag wants is he wants one wide, one half space, one central, one half space, one wide. That's what he wants. And as we're getting into position, you can begin to see that this is happening. And it's absolutely fine here for one of Delo or Casemiro to go forwards, but someone's got to come in and cover.
Yeah.
Right? So Ericsson just drives into the space, and now like Delo, someone's got to be coming central really here, but these are fine details. But you can see that something is forming. Now there's a block. So how do we break down a block? With quick play.
Yep.
Comes to Rashford. Rashford knocks it to Shaw. Shaw plays it into Ericsson. Like, they've done a Wobie and they've hit Rashford. Yeah. So this is really, really quick. But we'll show it to you again.
Woo!
It's so good. And then Rashford, yeah.
I was going to say, this is why Ericsson's my man of the match. I picked him as man of the match. He's so instrumental to everything we do. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
For me, it was Rashford who was man of the match because he worked hard. But then Rashford, in the wide area, Bruno gets in the half space and he plays it back to the free man. Ericsson. That's your third man run, Armando.
Switch to play.
Well, if we get it to the bit here, Ericsson's marked by Iwobi. He's got no chance of getting that ball, but we want Iwobi on the ball. We want Ericsson on the ball. So Rashford and Bruno play the combination. Ericsson's pulled back. He gets the ball, and after a third man run, you want to switch play, and he does it brilliantly to Anthony. And Anthony does well here because Anthony is like he's coming into the half space, but he started out wide. So you need players to come and get him. So Gray and Mikhailichenko are going to go out, and Anana's got to cover that space. Iwobi's got to cover that space. Gay's got to cover that space. What happens is it creates a lovely space for Casemiro, and here we've got Bruno, Rashford beginning to get in, and this structure is sort of a rest defense. It's not perfect, but it's fine because if we lose the ball here, we've got enough men to counter press, and you will see Bruno. So you see Shaw and Ericsson coming in, and we're fine. Structure's very important. The ball comes out to Casemiro. Tarkowski stays. He has to hold central. Cody has to hold central. But look at this overload. That is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Plus, we have a triangle, which is very important. So if this is a bad pass from Anthony or whatever, Casemiro's still got options. He's still able to recycle. And we have another triangle out here. So we're not going to lose the ball. And we're going to be able to play high up the pitch because of structure. Right? Because we've got three men central. Three men central are these players here. And Ericsson can drop back in. These players can drop back in. Structure's so important. And Casemiro, this is where you're allowed to play in between the lines and do things. He puts a pass in. Ronaldo's offside. Bruno, as Mr. B said, was it platoon?
Tattoo, yeah.
Yeah,
On his knees, yeah.
yeah, on his
What a
knees,
comment. Mr. Bean's very
screaming.
funny, yeah.
But so let's just appreciate this again, Monday, and you tell me what you're seeing here and how happy you are, if you are
It's
happy.
my mind is blown by this, how good this is. So obviously we're deep in our own half. What Rashford does here is un-Rashford like, but
It's
he's holding up
unbelievable.
play now. He's not running into traffic. He waits for Ronaldo and plays a 1-2, 1 again, 2, and back to the man. And no one can make us play is Ericsson. He plays it wide where Bruno peels off. And suddenly it plays it back to Ericsson, who loves the ball in that position. He can start orchestrating things. And as you see again, there's another third man run.
Mm-hmm.
Third man run, sorry, and back into the half space, and we're overloaded in there on the back post. Wonderful. Do you think that's your best moment so far?
Yeah, I
Graphic
still think
design,
attacking moment maybe. I still think
yeah.
the McTominay press on Liverpool was the best
Oh
thing that
yeah.
I've seen that led to Elanga hitting the post. But
Rashford
this,
has really transformed his game.
I am stunned by Rashford. Like
Mm,
I on a show last year on the agenda, I said I don't think I've ever seen a player over the age of 23 or 24 come back like and
yeah.
become a good player again. But Rashford is impressing me so much at the moment. Like,
But
I,
props to the manager.
yeah, it might just be coaching. It might be Rashford
Yeah,
penny dropping. It might be him uninjured. Like I don't
yeah,
know, but it's this bit here where
yeah.
he beats a man with skill and then just doesn't leg it off. He
Mm,
combines with a man that he's meant to disrespect a lot, Ronaldo. He pops it
yeah,
off to Ericsson. Bruno is doing Bruno things, but Bruno things can be quite good sometimes. Ericsson drives up. We've got to break a block down. Combination play, men in half space, like pulling it back. Casemiro pushing up, level with Ericsson. They're
drawing them in.
married. Lovely ball through. Like,
Yeah,
and then we've got
yeah.
so many men. We've got so like whenever you look at this, we're perfectly fine for a transition, and it's
Beautiful.
night and day compared to the
Yeah,
first half. When we see Casemiro running forward like late runs, trying to score headers and things, I know people are
yeah,
always very impressed with that, but I tell you, we'll win more football matches if we have Casemiro in these positions.
yeah.
These positions out here. And we have Lindelof and Martinez. Huge shout out to Lindelof, by the way. Him, Martinez, and Rashford were the players that impressed me the most. Martinez always impresses me, to be honest. But
Oh, he's
Lindelof's
fantastic. Yeah,
passing, his aggression, winning duels, never really being out of position. I thought he was great. I can't believe it, but huge shout out to my favourite coelacanth, David De
yeah.
Gea. Really good performance. Ericsson, disciplined as
Outstanding,
always. Bruno
outstanding.
is Bruno. Ronaldo worked hard. Shout out to him. Anthony faded a little bit. I want a bit more from Anthony, to be honest. But Rashford, huge thumbs up from the bath time. And the save for Shaw, really impressed with everyone. So I'm going to stop sharing there. And I think we should probably do our closing comments on Monday.
Yeah, I think once again, look, I'm in shock. I mean, it's only little 40-second clips there, but you can see so much and break it down so much, and that's what we do on the eye test. Appreciate you, Bath Time, again. All the hard work you put into creating these shows as well. I mean, the game was on Sunday. We won the game. It's about more control now. We started to see the manager's effect on the team. As Emma, I'll keep referring back to Emma's
Mm-hmm.
comment that she made in the first show. Make sure you go and watch the first show. If you're watching this for the first time today, you'll see it on the channel. So we've done the first show on Tuesday evening, and then this one will be released the following day at 1 p.m. So if you're watching this for the first time, make sure you watch the first show, read the comments as well, what the guys were saying. And if you want to comment on this show as well, make sure once the show's finished, you can comment on there. Myself and Bath Time will come and have a conversation with you about what you've seen just now. But overall, the manager has coached the team. He's coaching players. We've seen improvement. We've seen improvement in the system. I think once it all gels, we've got a really good side there, regardless of the personnel.
100% Omundi. Echo everything you say. Like, make sure to check out the lads. 10 o'clock on Wednesday, or 10:15 on Wednesday. Sorry, on BT Sports. Watchalongs, reaction shows all week. We'll be in the comments. This is just a trial at the moment to see how we get on, but we hope you enjoy it. We love presenting this comment, and it's a good afternoon, I suppose, from me. So thank
And
you
a good
very
afternoon
much.
from me. God bless, guys. Take care. See you later.